Hey everyone, welcome back to your week ahead astrology breakdown with me, Matthew from Still Water Alchemy. Okay, so I know I'm a little bit obsessed about astrology. I could talk about it all day long, and sometimes I do because it's my job. But the transits this week, I mean, we're already starting off right at the beginning with a full moon. So when I was prepping for this breakdown and looking at all the transits of the week, the best analogy I can give, it's like when you're in therapy or working with a coach or a mentor, and there's that huge kind of mind blown moment where everything makes sense, but then you have to come down from it and realize that either you are the one self-sabotaging most times when you're doing that kind of healing therapeutic work, or that everything in your life up to that point you have to completely reevaluate, and then right after have to put in the proper steps to heal or to grow. That's kind of this week. No pressure, but it really does start off with this huge event with a full moon that's quite intense, and then a bit of a contraction moment. Tuesday for sure has some very frictional energy, so be mindful, maybe give yourself a buffer there to heal. And then the rest of the week is like do. So yes, if you've been watching these videos for a while or are just a fan of my content, you always know I talk about expansion, contraction. And so this week is very much that. And of course, Mercury just went retrograde at the end of last week. And so please give yourself that time and space, especially this week until the end of January. It's not saying you cannot be productive or roll out, but make sure you're getting the proper rest, the proper nourishment, the proper nutrition, exercise. All these stable grounding exercises will immensely help you, especially near the end of the week, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's lots of opportunity to grow. But if you burn yourself out at the beginning of this week, it's not going to be good, because then we might miss out on some really benefic energy from these planets and from these transits. Okay. Good. And also a fun manifestation that was not really fun, but I always like to share these things so that if you resonated with it as well, it's kind of helping to recognize these patterns. Last week's video, I said that the moon in Gemini, which was like Friday, Saturday of last week, was opposing Mars in Sagittarius. And so I was typing on, I guess it was like late Saturday morning, like 2 or 3 in the morning, maybe. Yeah, I don't keep normal hours. So I was typing and I looked down and my fingers were all red. And I was like, why? And sometimes they get dry from just like water and soap and everything. So washing our hands. And so I put this moisturizing lotion and they got even more red and they stung even worse. And then I looked at the chart and I was like, oh, moon in Gemini opposing Mars. Moon represents our body and our health. Gemini rules the fingers and hands, the lungs, the arms, and then Mars, infection and pain or rashes. Sometimes the astrology is quite literal. And also too, I know that a lot of people are either getting over the flu, getting over COVID, whatever it may be. So if that was you near the end of the week or something random came up, you are not alone. And again, nothing is really random when it comes to the astrology. So let's jump in, shall we? Oh, starting on Wednesday, are we? Mercury. Oh, and Wednesday is Mercury's day. I'm not sure if you guys have already experienced any kind of Mercury retrograde hiccups of links not working or random typos or like that. It's a fun time. Just roll with the punches. I often find with Mercury retrograde, it's like a prankster. If you stop giving it attention or you stop stressing about it, it goes away. But if you get in your head about one little mistake or being late or anything like that, it just amplifies and keeps happening. So that's your Mercury retrograde tidbit for the day. Now, right at the beginning of the week, reminder, I'm starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in Toronto, Canada. So Monday, January 17th, we have that full moon happening in the sign of Cancer. I do want to mention, though, that we have the moon making a trine to Neptune. So this is really great for intuition, spiritual energy, dreams, coming through very succinctly. Again, these are all in water signs, right? The moon and Neptune. And of course, there's that sign-based trine to Jupiter, but by degree, it's a bit further away. But that heightened finger on the pulse, or you having that kind of sixth sense or this ability to sense that something is coming. I want you to make sure that you act on that, or please write it down or journal it. Because again, with Mercury retrograde, sometimes we forget things, our train of thought gets dropped. And so really being able to tune into that would be wise. And this full moon is going to be taking place at around 6:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I believe. So it's going to be later on for those of us west of the Atlantic. So just keeping that in mind. I do want to point out, though, that we have Pluto almost exactly conjunct the sun. So with Pluto, there's those themes of power and control, death and rebirth, but also sometimes like manipulation or really trying to control in a malefic way. And so this can manifest too if you're in a situation where you're being oppressed or feel like you don't have control. The sun can also represent masculine energy or authority or leadership, and the moon relates to our emotions. So there might be this real point of climax or where you're coming up to this full moon, especially the full moon in Cancer, and whether it's a governing body because of the pandemic, whether it was a masculine energy in your life from work, from your family, from your upbringing, it may be this real big point of release. It also could just be yourself that you've been controlling or manipulating or self-sabotaging. And so when this full moon comes up, it can act as a lot of release and a lot of triggering energy. That's why I said at the beginning of this video, it might just feel like that moment in therapy or counseling when it all kind of makes sense and your mind just is exploding because everything, it's like these energetic dominoes. So it is a powerful full moon. It's also a full moon happening on Monday, which is the day that the moon rolls over. And the moon is in her home sign of Cancer. And I do think, like I said, it's like a buildup of a release of a lot of power and control that we've all been feeling for a very long time. And so specifically, if you can, look to your own natal chart to see which houses are ruled by Cancer and Capricorn, so you can see where that power, emotion, balance, climax is most likely to take place, whether it's in relationships, your health, money. It's going to be very succinct. And even if you don't know your natal chart, you've probably been experiencing these themes for a long time, and the buildup will be obvious. And also, again, we had the new moon at the beginning of July in 2021. So with full moons, we end a 6-month cycle. So there may have been something in the past 6 months that you are or have been working through that again comes to a point or a head or a climax on Monday. I always keep saying climax, and I'm like, that's such a interesting word to use, but it is perfectly describes this energy. So I'm going to move on to Tuesday, because if I go at this length, this video is probably going to be an hour, which some of you may not mind. And maybe these videos will end up being longer because there's just so much to talk about that I want to get through, especially this week. So Tuesday, January 18th, this is going to be, like I said, that bit of contraction where it might just be like, I need to now piece back my life together or my emotional self. So again, with full moons, especially when they're that powerful or illuminated, it can feel like this emotional hangover the next day where you don't even want to get out of bed, or it takes so much effort to even just move or to think. So I'm not saying that you should or should not call it a sick day or have a personal day, but if you have the ability to not work and just take the time to slow down, I would do so. Or just, like I said, don't make any huge plans. This is going to be a pretty intense day, unless you intuitively feel called, of course. Always listen to your intuition first and foremost. I'm just giving you the breakdown with the astrology. So we have the moon in Leo, but the moon is opposing Mercury retrograde and Saturn, and it's making a square to Uranus. So this can just be that self-actualization of, I now know that this is a part of my life that I need to focus on, or that I'm feeling called to work on, but it's going to take concerted effort, or I need to really reestablish boundaries in order for me to make this a priority moving forward. So there could just be a lot of energy that's coming to head that you now have to look and decide how you're going to best approach these new revelations and these new goals moving forward. It was kind of also when I was thinking about this, like tough truths, or kind of holding up that mirror and realizing that you can't keep running from this, or it's extremely emotionally triggering. So you need to have that talk, or you have to leave that job or leave that marriage. Like it could be like especially with the moon making a square to Uranus. And both of these are in fixed signs, right? Moon in Leo, Uranus in Aquarius, and even like the moon opposing Saturn, Saturn being these long-term commitments. It can just be this emotional reaction to a change that is going to affect a long-term structure or commitment or contract, which I think will be triggered by that full moon on Monday. So just be open, be kind to yourself. And again, like I said, given that the moon was making a pretty strong trine to Neptune on Monday, trusting your intuition first and foremost, even if it doesn't make sense, is significantly going to help you navigate this week and the year ahead. There's just a lot of, like I said, the astrology this week is very intense. So we move on to Wednesday. And again, this is a very energetically charged day. We now have Uranus direct. It technically stationed direct late on Tuesday, but it's its first full day. Now direct. I want you to note that if you have any fixed placements in your chart in and around 7 or 13 degrees, given that Uranus is stationing at 10 degrees and 49 minutes, Uranus representing unexpected change, surprise, revolution, freedom, that is also going to be something that will affect you for the rest of the week. I'm also kind of curious as well with regards to that Sun-Pluto conjunction with the full moon. Now we have Uranus stationing direct. The nodes have now shifted today. The North Node is in Taurus, South Node's in Scorpio. I am just curious to see if news is going to change around the pandemic or different restrictions or things changing both at a collective and an individual level. So stay tuned on that. Who knows how it's going to change? It'll obviously depend on the country, but I think collectively minds are going to start changing. People are really going to start focusing on that higher calling and realizing that things are going to have to change for us to all heal and move forward in a productive manner. So I do think there's going to be that collective shift, and how that affects all of us individually will obviously be dependent on your own natal chart and your own beliefs and mindset. And that really does come into effect. It's, again, beautiful how the astrology works. Uranus stations direct, and then the nodes change all within 24 hours. So this, again, is something pertinent to note, especially for people with prominent Taurus placements and people with prominent Scorpio placements, especially if you have anything at 29, 28 degrees Scorpio or Taurus, you are going to feel it, which again, like I said, there are some really good transits happening later this week that will allow you to take full advantage. So please, 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 for those with those placements, take note. But for everyone looking to the house that is ruled by Taurus in your natal chart, that's going to be a point of focus, or where there are going to be some nice changes or growth that's going to be happening. The house that's ruled by Scorpio, you might be purging or releasing or letting go of certain energies in that house. Also, this is the last full day of Capricorn season. The sun moves into Aquarius at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. So for most of the world, Wednesday is going to be the last full day of Capricorn season. And also too, Wednesday just seems like the final shoe dropping, or that final act of commitment, or kind of like you're at the crossroads and you get to decide, am I going to continually keep going down the same path, or am I going to choose the intuitive wedlay, focusing on my higher self? We do have the moon directly opposing Saturn. And so for everyone that's east of the Atlantic, Europe, Asia, Australia, Africa, you may feel that this moon opposing Saturn, like I said, that kind of crossroad moments, what you feel like may be more practical versus like what you want to do, may be more prevalent, or having to have to make really tough emotional decisions, or maybe even feeling burnt out if you haven't taken the start of the week to get grounded. It may feel like a lot, but then moving forward, I like it a lot, because then the moon is making an applied trine with Mars, both in fire signs. This is like kind of a sexy energy too, that if, I mean, who knows how this can manifest, but that could be a night where pleasure, romance, intimacy, some fun can be had. So give yourself a break if you can on Wednesday. Also too, some astrologers say that when Mercury is retrograde, Mercury rules Wednesday, that sometimes Wednesdays can be more Mercury retrograde centric, that there can be delays or frustrations or miscommunication. So maybe just have yourself a break, whether it's with yourself, with a close loved one, that you can just relax on Wednesday and maybe share those revelations or share different insights in a space that feels comfortable. And even just moving your body would be really great if you feel like you're in your head or that there's so much tension and stress being built up. It would be really wise on Wednesday, especially Wednesday night or later in the day, Wednesday, depending on where you live, to release, let go, have fun, move your body. Okay. Yes, I think that's all I want to say about that. Good. Thursday. So we have the moon at 29 degrees Leo, but literally an hour later, the moon moves into Virgo. So I'm going to play with that because that's going to be a prevalent theme for a lot of people throughout Thursday. So now we have the moon in Virgo making an opposition to Jupiter. And so for me, with the moon in Virgo, it's very pragmatic, very diligent, very detail oriented. It makes sense that these things are run this way. It can also be kind of a great energy to clean up your life, get things organized, literally clean. I often find that when the moon is in Virgo, you just feel more organized and structured and want everything to be tidy or of service. When it's opposing Jupiter, though, remember, Jupiter in Pisces, a dreamer, expansive, going after everything you want and knowing it's going to work out. But then that moon in Virgo can be very, does this make sense? How are we going to do this? It's not happening right now. So again, with all the revelations, all the change, everything that's come up over the past few days, I don't want you to stop yourself or restrict yourself based on fear or doubt. Or how is this going to work? Remember, it's not our duty to know how, just why it's so important to you. So if we can focus on that throughout Thursday, then this is going to be a very strong use of that energy. Also, too, why can't we be pragmatic and go after our dreams and just have the belief that whatever dream you now have, dreams that you've always had, are going to work out. And you know that you're just going to work hard and then it gets to be easy. So it's kind of this balance of, do you have to be pragmatic or can you be a dreamer or can you be both? And like I said, now it's the first full day of Aquarius season. So depending on your rituals or if you like to set new intentions for the start of every zodiac season, this could be a vibe. And of course, for all of our beautiful Aquarius angels out there, this is your season. So especially if you have an Aquarius sun or prominent Aquarius energy, it would be nice to get grounded, see what's coming through to set the landscape for the next 30 days. And now we are going to go to Friday. I really like Friday's energy a lot. So on Friday, we can see this beautiful grand Earth trine. We have the moon in Virgo making almost an exact trine to Venus retrograde in Capricorn, and then a trine to Uranus now direct. For me, when I was looking at this, so let's say you have a revelation that you've always wanted to be a singer and you've gone back and forth, but you're now really diligent about creating an EP. You want to create 5 songs by the end of this year, hypothetically. So now maybe you're going to make it a new practice every morning to warm up your voice and sing for 30 minutes every day. So you can start practicing, start growing this. Maybe you're going to hire a singing coach so that you start putting these actionable steps in place to make this dream a reality. Like we just said yesterday, moon in Virgo opposing Jupiter in Pisces. We can be pragmatic and chase our dreams. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And so with this grand Earth trine, it can be reevaluating what we love, Venus in retrograde, and enacting new change to make it happen. Okay. If you want to get really advanced, you could look at the 3 houses in your chart that are ruled by the earth signs, Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus, or just trust your intuition or see what's come up throughout the week. But I would recommend that you see, and again, this could be about relationships, it can be about money, it can be about your career. It's going to change for everyone, but what new structures or habits can you now put in place that are A, going to make you happier, B, go after your dreams, and third of all, just make you feel good. And it can even maybe involve relationships or involve other people. I do think, again, intuitively that you'll want to seek out maybe an expert or someone at a higher level or other people that are in the same realm of what you're dreaming about or want to go after. So you have that support. You're just building better connections, or it might even just be reconnecting with others that are all now pursuing a very similar energy. It could manifest in a lot of different ways, but this earth energy is very grounded, very pragmatic, and just see what's going to come up in terms of, especially now with this Aquarius sun and Mercury retrograde, combust the sun. It'll be a lot of inward thinking, a lot of processing, reevaluating, reconstructing all those reflective mercurial retrograde energies. So if you like to journal, this could be a great day to see what comes up. If you don't like to journal, might just be a good time to sit down and see what's coming through in that regard. Also, just like I like this in terms of connecting with people. Whenever the moon is making a trine to Venus, it's quite nice no matter what's happening. So you might even reconnect with someone. It's a really good conversation, or they're both able to help each other in some way, which could be nice. Financial energy too, of course, could come through with all this earth energy. Again, I could talk about this for a very long time, but needless to say, Friday is a nice energy. Trust your intuition on new structures and habits to take place. And Saturday is also a vibe. So we can see here. Oh, and here we go. With Saturday, we now have the moon in late degrees of Virgo, making a trine to Pluto, and then also a trine to the North Node that just entered Taurus. So Saturday, if you feel like calling in spiritual healers, whether that's paying someone or doing this spiritual energetic work yourself, moon trining Pluto, new revelations in the subconscious mind or new power dynamics, really helping in a very strong Virgo way that are maybe grounded rule structures, whether that's external in terms of governing bodies, people outside of your scope, work, or just internally what you're doing, that's going to align you in a really powerful way or a new direction that's going to benefit you. Also, too, with that moon trine Pluto, and then with the North Node involved, it's like the reprogramming, the reconditioning, whether it's subliminal reprogramming, hypnosis, meditation, visualization, whatever feels good for you. Or like I said, if you want to have like a Reiki healer or seeing your therapist, if you could on Saturday, something, I would really take advantage of this, whether you do the work personally or look outside of yourself or both. This would be a phenomenal day for that emotional, spiritual healing and reprogramming, reconditioning to whatever you want to achieve moving forward. It's a really, really nice day. And like I said, we still have this Mercury retrograde combust the sun energy happening. So a lot of this energy near the start of Aquarius season is going to be internal with regards to our thoughts and how we think, which is perfect. I always look at Mercury in Aquarius as extremely intelligent, critical thinking, foresight, even intuitive in that sense. I know that Mercury in water signs is known as being intuitive, but I also think of it in Aquarius of having its finger on the collective pulse in the future and receiving those downloads to be entrepreneurial, independent, or helping to lead people in a very succinct way. So yes to Saturday. And again, we're just seeing how this energy is building ever since we had the full moon at the start of the week. And Sunday, we have the moon in Libra making a trine to everything, Mercury, Sun, Saturn. And then we also have Mercury retrograde cazimi the sun. So this is the ultimate day for me that there may be a manifestation of reconnecting with a lover, with a friend, with a family member, reconciling, having that conversation that maybe you've been putting off or that you know needs to happen. If you are in that headspace of, I know I need to reconnect with this person, I need to have closure, I need to maybe break up with this person or whatever that energy is, this is going to be the day. I mean, moon in Libra, emotional connection. And then we have the cazimi with Mercury retrograde in the sun. And then we also have the moon making a square to Venus retrograde. Like this just screams relationships, reevaluating, reconnecting, seeing what's happening, closure, better insight, better clarity, maybe even also too with this Mercury, Sun, cazimi, and the moon involved, you're now able to express yourself more clearly, implement better boundaries, moon, trining Saturn, to help you. Or let's say you're now really pursuing an important goal, a sole purpose. That may mean that you're going to be spending less time with certain people. Again, time, very connected with Saturn. And so maybe you want to let them know it's like, hey, I'm not going to be as available, or I'm not going to be answering all your text messages with memes every day. Like I'm going to be really focused, or I'm not going to be on my phone as much. Just a heads up as an example, but it really does seem like this is a day for relationships, for love, for clarity, for new insight. It's a really, really powerful day. So take it as you will. And again, that can even just be emotional recalibration internally with yourself. I just feel like with the moon in Libra, trining everything, Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, moon squaring Venus, a lot of that will have to do with relationships in some way, shape, or form. Okay. So just a little easy, chill week. Of course, if you want additional resources for the Mercury retrograde, the Cancer full moon, and I've also packaged it in a bundle and you save some coins there. I have workshops for everything. I'll put all the links down below if you're curious. If you have any questions on anything I discussed or revelations of your own, or if you're watching this later on in the week and want to share manifestations or really cool breakthroughs that are taking place, please let us all know. I always try and facilitate a community where people come back again and again, and we can all share the love and success, and we're all growing together. That's a really big intention of mine, especially this year, and posting regular content. So feel free to share your victories, your wins, and we can support and uplift everyone together. Okay. Have a beautiful week. Enjoy this full moon, grounding, breakthrough, boom, boom, boom. The usual. All right. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.